Morning.
Good to see you all of you, finally.
Thank you for spending time with us today.
Now in Italy,
Yeah,
yeah, it's 9 o'clock.
right.
Oh, that's good. That's not that bad.
No, perfect timing.
That timing, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Cik Not, I think more participants are coming in. Can
Okay.
we give a few minutes?
Okay, can. Yeah, we wait.
Yeah.
We wait for you.
Of course.
Giorgio, for your information, MTIB, Puan Nick is also here, and
Yeah.
Deputy Director of MTIB as well is here, and our faculty dean also here.
Yeah, great.
Dr. Jamalulai. Yeah.
Really glad to see you. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Giorgio.
Hello. Hope you're doing good.
Yeah.
I know you're doing good. That's good.
So how's Italy? Is it still
Well,
in lockdown or still okay?
no, actually not. We're pushing.
I think we can start now lah. I think our dean also have we can.
Other programs.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, we
Okay.
can start now. I think.
I was just checking how to share my screen, actually.
If you can look at the bottom of your screen, there's a share logo at the bottom in the middle.
Oh, share. Oh, okay, great. Okay.
I'll cue you in, then probably at that time you can share your screen.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we start?
Great.
Okay. Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello and very good day to everyone. Welcome to CSIA MTIB webinar series. This is an event organized by the Center of Studies for Interior Architecture, Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying, FSPU UiTM inshallah, and in collaboration with the Malaysian Timber Industry Board, MTIB. I would like to welcome all professionals, academicians, designers, and students. Thank you for joining our event today. My name is Sarah Rahman, and I'll be your host for this today's event. And together with me, we have IDR Muhammad Nur Arifin, a senior lecturer from the Center of Studies for Interior Architecture, FSPU UiTM inshallah, as our moderator for today. So for your information, today's event is sponsored by MTIB, the Malaysian Timber Industry Board. And this is the second webinar series under the CSIA MTIB. And more events will be organized in the near future with international speakers from Malaysia and around the world. So before we begin, I would like to welcome our guests, Puan Haja Roslina Idris, the Deputy Director General Development and Commercial from Malaysian Timber Industry Board, MTIB. I also would like to welcome Dr. Muhammad Nur Zamri, the Director of Industry Development Division, also from MTIB. I also would like to welcome our Dean, Professor Tuan Planner Dr. Jamalun Laini Abdullah, the Dean for Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying, UiTM. And last but not least, our special guest, our speaker for our webinar today, Giorgio Biscaro. Thank you so much to have all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and it's a great honor to have all of you with us today. Thank you so much. So to begin this event, I would like to call upon Puan Haja Roslina Idris, the Deputy Director of Development and Commercial from MTIB. Puan Haja, if you'd like to say anything for the opening speech.
Yes, terima kasih Puan Sarah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursalin wa imamil muttaqin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Professor TPR Dr. Jamalun Laili Abdullah. I cannot see your face now. Yeah. Dean of Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying, UiTM. Dr. Muhammad Nur Zamri Man Amin, Director of Industry Development Division of MTIB. Our guest speaker, Mr. Giorgio Biscaro, Art Director of Fontana Arte from Italy. IDR Muhammad Nur Arifin and Puan Sarah Rahman, the moderators of the forum, distinguished guests and participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good morning. And due to the time zone difference here, Giorgio, a very good morning.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of the program, UITM and Tanggam Design Center of MTIB, for inviting me on behalf of the Director General of MTIB to the Design Forum today. I would also like to convey the salam from our Director General and his apologies for not being able to be with us this afternoon. And it is indeed our great pleasure to welcome all audience in this jointly organized design forum, particularly to our guest speaker from Italy, Mr. Giorgio Biscaro. I think Mr. Biscaro, I remember my trip to Milan for a joint economic committee meeting between Malaysia, Italy in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. It was 10 years back. We discussed on a capacity building in furniture production engineering. And among objectives of that meeting are to promote competitive furniture design and manufacturing in Malaysia. My wish, and I would say that this forum is, if it is not directly part of the outcome, we can say it indirectly part of the outcome derived from the delivery which we have had. And coupled with your participation, Mr. Biscaro, in our PDP program for furniture design development conducted throughout 2016 to 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I better read the text prepared by my colleague here. So, timber industry is one of the important industries in Malaysia, and its role is significant in contributing to the country's economic development. Being an export-oriented industry, Malaysian timber recorded an export value of 22.02 billion Malaysian ringgit in 2020. Yeah, exports in the first quarter last year, first quarter of 2020, were badly impacted by measures to address and to contain the spread of COVID-19. We were badly impacted, yeah. And then the industries were later allowed to operate by phases with certain control, such as the limited number of manpower and also vaccination levels among the workers. This year, in 2021, despite the gloomy period, until July 2021, timber industries in Malaysia remains resilient, and its export value was recorded at 12.9 billion Malaysian ringgit until July. Until July, 12.9 billion Malaysian ringgit, despite facing all kind of difficulties and challenges due to the pandemic. Okay, that is export figure. Now, talking about domestic timber market, the domestic sales is estimated about 18 billion Malaysian ringgit annually. And having said that, the total timber market value comprising of export and also domestic sales is amounting to 40.02 billion Malaysian ringgit. So in short, we would say that timber industry is residing at a club of 40 billion Malaysian ringgit. 40 billion annual. And three major, and I would say three traditional timber products exported are wooden furniture, plywood, and sawn timber. We are exporting sawn timber of quality and premium grade. Yeah. And in terms of furniture, Malaysia has always been a prominent furniture exporter, and year to year is ranked amongst the at least one of the top 15 largest exporters worldwide. That furniture. In 2019, Malaysia was the 11th largest exporter in the world, and major markets of wooden furniture has traditionally been the US and the Japan. And the export value was recorded at 9 billion Malaysian ringgit. That was in 2019. So the value increased in 2020, where the export of wooden furniture was registered at 10.6 billion Malaysian ringgit, which was an increase of 16.2% compared to the previous year, 2020 compared to 2019. So this performance reflects the government's role in ensuring the resilience of furniture industry, particularly in providing ways and means towards the transformation or transition of the furniture industry from the original equipment manufacturing or OEM to the original design manufacturing or ODM, as well as original brand manufacturing or OBM. So generally, Malaysian furniture industry is still regarded as at OEM level, as it is still depending on the existing designs in the market, as well as we are still producing furniture in accordance with the requirement and design set by the customer, by the buyers. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all of us are fully aware that design plays an important role in determining whether a piece of furniture is acceptable or otherwise. A good design is not only pleasing to the eyes, but it has to meet certain criteria. For instance, the ergonomics, safety, stability, and most importantly, comfort. And of course, cozy to the consumer, to the users. Nowadays, buyers and consumers, they are smart persons. They are able to emphasize the aspect of quality, design, brand, value for money. And in fact, they have started demanding on green items with regard to the application of materials, the material usage. Various efforts have been undertaken by MTIB to improve and strengthen the marketing and promotion of furniture, Malaysian furniture, and it was started ever since the first inception of Malaysian International Furniture Fair, or MIF. That was way back in 1993, if I'm not mistaken, 1993 or 1994. MTIB has also developed a roadmap for the timber industry to ensure that Malaysia continues to be one of the world's largest furniture exporters. The document entitled a National Design Roadmap for Furniture and Timber-Based Product streamlines the direction of the industry from 2016 until 2025. So there are, of course, challenges and issues faced by the furniture sectors. For instance, the market acceptance and commercial value of the products, resources, innovation capabilities, design practicality, design royalties, copyright, and so on and so forth. However, MTIB believes that with strong supports and cooperation, as well as concerted efforts here, by various parties, particularly from the higher learning institutes like UITM, as well as relevant agencies, may help address all challenges and issues that the sector is facing. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, I, on behalf of the Malaysian Timber Industry Board, would again like to take this opportunity to thank the co-organizer for their tremendous support, particularly to IDR Muhammad Nur Arifin and his team, who have been working really hard to make this forum realized. I'm afraid, Prof, I wouldn't be able to join until the end of the forum, as there are many urgent matters lining up. Confident that this forum will provide an interesting platform for all participants to be updated on some of the design aspects from the perspective of process and maybe its branding. It is our hope that the audience, particularly the local designers, will be able to compete at the highest level and further to entice what we say a collaborative effort with maybe the prominent furniture designers like Giorgio we have here, and maybe with the producers from all over the world So my special appreciation goes to Mr. Giorgio Biscaro, who will be sharing with us his perspective.
Giorgio Biscaro.
Yeah. It's okay. Good.
Am I pronouncing it correctly? Giorgio
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You'll be sharing with us
I
your
would be far
perspective.
worse to say anything in Malay. Thank
And
you.
your valuable experience will be very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, finally, I wish all the participants a fruitful forum. And on this note, I have great pleasure in officially declaring this forum team design process, and value-driven branding open. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and grazie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Puan Roslina, for the opening speech. Moving along, I would like to call upon our Dean of Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying, Professor Tom Planner Dr. Jamalun Laini Abdullah, to say a few words to our guests.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Sarah Rahman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to our guests in Malaysia, and to Giorgio Biscaro in Italy. A very good morning to you.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us. And first, I'd like to acknowledge Puan Hajar Roslina Idris, Deputy Director General Development and Commercial for MITB, from MTIB, and also Dr. Muhammad Nozamri Mat Amin, Director of Industry Development Division, from MTIB, Malaysian Timber Industry Board. Okay, sometimes I mix it with MITB, MTIB. Okay, Malaysian Timber Industry Board. Okay, and also the distinguished board, distinguished members from MTIB who joined us today. Okay, and to the organizer, Center of Studies for Interior Architecture from FSPU. Well done, and congratulations for the CSIA FSPU MTIB webinar series 2021. So I'd like to congratulate all of you for managing this webinar today successfully, and also for the lecturers from the centers as well from FSPU, and also all the distinguished guests who are able to attend today. And I think the number now is approaching 200. Okay, and I think more will be joining us when we upload them in the YouTube after this. So on behalf of the faculty, first I would like to thank MTIB for generously funding the program that we have planned for this. And I was paid to understand that MTIB is not just for this webinar, but also for other webinar, other program also. It is generously funded by MTIB, and for that, the faculty and UITM is forever grateful. Okay, and hopefully we can have more series of seminar. Okay, just like and perhaps after this one we can do also with other maybe the team from Italy, because when we have like the Center of Study Interior Architecture, when one lecturer from who used to teach in Turkey, when he joined us, and I told him that let's have a FSPU Turkey series. Now we can have this one MTIB, FSPU, and Italian series. Okay, so that is something that we feel that something beneficial for all of us concerned on this, because now with the area of globalization, then this is something that we are able to do that, and it's going to be win-win situation for all the parties involved. So I'd just like to share with our distinguished guests that at FSPU, sorry Giorgio, FSPU means the Faculty of Architecture, Planning, Surveying. So we use the Malay acronym Seni Bina Perancangan dan Ukur. So that's the faculty. So at the faculty, what we are trying to do is that we want to project ourselves to be the center of built environment design. Okay, so that including architecture, interior architecture, town planning, as well as landscape architecture. And we have a very nice campus in Puncak Alam. So when you have a chance to come to Malaysia, then you are certainly welcome to come to our campus. And that invitation also to Puan Haja Roslina and as well as the team from MTIB. Okay, to come to Puncak Alam is a new campus. Okay, we moved there about 5 years ago. And what we like it to be, it's like sebenarnya the Puncak Alam Bina Design Hub. So we are hoping that related to this one, the furniture design, that we have a gallery there, and perhaps we name it after Hijaz Kasturi, after it's fully renovated after this 1 year. But we like to have the exhibition space there. And sometimes, and then when I see like Giorgio he is here, then perhaps, and then MTIB is here, then I'm going like propose like triangle cooperation, like Giorgio would design for us, MTIB give us the timber, and then we put the place to exhibit it, and our faculty and our students will use your design. So that is something that perhaps Idea might know, and then your team, you can think about that one. So that is something that we can have this one, especially like this one. Dr. Mai, your Center of Studies will be hosting the Puncak Alam Bina Design Fest this year. So that is something we can think about, and then for us to do it.
Wow.
But on the, so we really appreciate Giorgio for you give your time, your expertise to share with all of us today. And then once again, we are also very grateful to Puan Haja Roslina for officiating the event today, and then for providing the generous funding. And we are hoping that this collaboration will continue into the future, and we can intensify in the future. And then once, our border, Giorgio, our border will open sometime next month. So when the opportunity arises, you're always welcome to come to Malaysia. Have you been to Malaysia yet? No, yet. Okay. So I always welcome to come to Malaysia, because I've been to Italy 3 times. So a beautiful country. And then so hopefully you have a chance to come to Malaysia and look at all the timber. And then once you see the timber, then maybe you come up with even much better design. Of course, your design now is renowned all over the world, but I'm sure you become the top one when you see our team after this one. Yeah.
We can always do better.
Yes. So once again, thank you to everyone, and hope all of you will enjoy the talk today. I'm sure we can learn a lot from Giorgio today. Okay, and with that, okay, I pass it back to Sarah. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you very much, and grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Tompan and Dr. Jamalrini, for the generous speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Giorgio Biscaro. I hope I pronounced it right.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Giorgio Biscaro was born in 1978 in Vercelli, and graduated in industrial design at IUAV, University of Venice, with a dissertation about LED lamps. So after graduating, he was hired by Foscarini, and a relationship that will last for quite a long time. So subsequently, he worked with Imago Studio for Mizar, Domo Group, Virax, and other design brands. So in 2007, he established his own studio in Treviso, working with Slide and with Boza among the others. So in 2008, he came back to Foscarini as a member in the Research and Development Department as a senior designer. So Giorgio Biscaro works have been selected in many exhibitions, and among them are Salon Satellite, if I pronounce it right, during the Milan Salon. His work, Offset Stool, received a nominee in Young and Design Award, and was appointed by Elle Decor as a 2011 trend object. His works appeared frequently on magazines, books, digital publications, and TV shows. And as a young prominent designer, he's been selected to represent Italian design at the celebration of 150th anniversary of Italy unification. And that took place in 2011 in Turin. So his three works also selected to represent new Italian design in Milano's new Italian design, and his works gaining great feedbacks by press and audience, and he received many great nominees and achievements. So today, Giorgio Biscaro will share with us his knowledge and expertise, and our webinar today will be regarding the design process and the value-driven branding. So without further ado, I would like to pass this floor to Mr. IDR Muhammad Nur Arifin, our senior lecturer from the Center of Studies for Interior Architecture, to welcome our guest, Giorgio Biscaro, and to moderate this event. So with that, I'll pass this floor to Cik Muhammad Nur.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, without further ado, I think we should talk about design. Now, basically, you want to know what is the process that you normally have, what kind of things that you do. You also involve a few years, I think 4 years in a PDP program in Malaysia. So that from that experience also maybe you can share, and as part as your experience as an international designer working in international exhibition and so on. So I think we can start now. You can start presenting. I think we are look forward for your presentation. Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you everybody. What a nice, great of panel you have here. I'm really honored to be here. Assalamualaikum to everybody. And I'm really glad because the introduction was really expressive and you had many things to say. I'm also glad because many of the topics you just highlighted and pointed out are something that I put into the presentation. That would be something less about my personal process, and it would be much more about the value-driven branding. Since, of course, we already spoke about OEM and ODM and all those kind of things. And since PDP was exactly pointed in that direction, so trying to find a way to bring design into an industry that is still relying on external designers, which is a pity because I knew many of you and I know that many of you are really great professionals, and I think that Malaysia really deserves a great internal market to do it. So my presentation will be more about this dream that I have of seeing flourishing a new environment, a new design environment, and a new design system in Malaysia, not replacing what's already existing, because I think that already what's existing is really well run and wealthy. And even if we had COVID and all this gloomy period, anyway, I heard that the whole thing is proceeding quite good. And so, of course, it's a way to integrate everything and this new society that your university are training to get into this thing and melt and mix very well in the process. So it will be quite a boring presentation, and I'm sorry for that, because it's really, I will be quite, I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, it is now.
Okay.
Okay.
It is?
Maybe you can make it full screen, something like that?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. What is full screen? Yeah, there it is. Can you see it?
Perfect.
That's great. Okay. Well, so again, thanks everybody for inviting me, and I will try to bring, yes, my experience as a designer, but not only a designer, especially as an art director. You already did the presentation, the acquaintances. So yeah, I was born in '78, some years ago, in a small town between Turin and Milan, and I moved to Venice to enroll this course that was a new course at the time. It was called Design and Arts. It was really a quite obscure thing because Until then, I just had architecture, and I just wanted to try this new application. After graduation, I always tell that I was lucky enough. I was really lucky because one of the best brands at that time, that was Foscarini, that is into lighting design, hired me. I don't know, I still don't know why, but they decided to give me, they had faith on me, and they put me into a new area of the company that was about design. And so I stayed there, but I was young at the time. And sometimes it happens that you feel you already done everything you have to do, and you don't have anything more to learn. And so I quit. I resigned my things, and I started doing my own research. And finally, I worked for myself. I had some jobs as an external designer, not internal designer. So I decided to open my own studio in 2007. But in 2008, Foscarini called me back again and gave me basically the responsibility of managing the new designs for the company. So I became their senior designer. Why I'm telling you that? Not because I want to celebrate myself, or the other way around, but this was important because I managed in those years to stay inside the company, but also developing my own studio. And this gave me two kind of approach to design industry. One that was more personal and led to my own career, experimentation, and so on. On the other way around, I was working inside the company, and I was in strict contact with production, with marketing managers, with CEOs, and so on. And this gave me a great insight about how things works from behind the line. So in the backstage, let's say. And this is really important because since I always define myself as an in-between profession. And at that time, since I was working in a company that gave me something to live, and I used those money to build prototypes and do research and so on, I created many new objects and products and so on. And they were exhibited all around the world, especially in Italy, of course. And I was really happy because I was gaining some kind of renown, and people was like seeing me as you told me, the new Italian design. Many colleagues, of course, where I was not alone, of course. But this continued presence into the press and so on made me appoint art director for an important brand, which is Fontanarte. So basically that work served me to gain a good audience, and Fontanarte hired me. It was 2012. And since then, I've been working for them until 2016, and I quit again, and I started to work for many other brands, always as a consultant, especially as an art director, and then senior lecturer in many Italian academies and universities. I'm stressing the art director part because it's really, it's quite important to me to start from that experience in order to understand better the whole world of design. This is something of the brand that I'm directing. I'm still directing some of them. And yeah, we're having fun, basically. So, Francesconi, this one. So why art direction? Now the presentation will be much more textual, so please forgive me for the many words, but I think it's important. I hope that you will use these slides also once the thing is over. Well, art directors cares especially about one specific thing, because they check the brand they are working for are coherent, which is a keyword that I keep repeating on and on and on and on, coherency. We are used to some tasks, some jobs into the company that are really encompassed in a very precise frame. You are a drawer, you do drawings, you are into marketing department, you care about specific things. Art directors are a mixture of all these things because they have to control that all those parts works in at the same pace and with the same languages and so on. So yeah, the coherency is really the key words here. And why coherency is so important because it's really subtle to represent, and it's related to the communication a brand want to make of itself. The way of representing itself can be anything from the business cards to the advertising on the magazines, the way you shoot a catalog, the style, the graphic style you use for your catalog, and so on. I mean, it's the way you speak to your customers. As you are in person, you can be a very friendly people, or you can be snobbish, or you can be refined, or you can be, there are many ways to represent itself. And this compounds the very basic aspects of the company, of the brand. And this is really important because this lead the company of being unique and special. I think none of us wants to be like associated to somebody else. We all want to be special. We want to be recognized as those guys, those girls that somehow, it's like our way to prove ourselves we are unique, and our place in the world is, how can I say, well exploited. Well, sometimes company forget these things and they try to copy something that worked for other companies, but probably don't work always for everybody. And of course, there are successful cases. There are not so many successful cases because at the end, this will lead to failure. This leads the company to be incorporated in something and something else, and not having their specialty. And so that's why art directors comes into place. And that leads to the concept of identity. I know I'm speaking about very marketing things now, but I probably have a slide also about that. But it's important to understand that our job as designers is no more the designers of the 80s or the 90s. We always have to remember that our work as a public audience to refer to, we have something to share to the public. So we have to talk about our things. We have to create values in the brand, in ourselves, whether we're working alone or for a brand, or we care about a brand as a consultant. We always have to care about those aspects. And the first thing we have to care about is brand identity. Brand identity and understanding what identity represents for companies is crucial. As I told you, you can have a brand identity of yourself if you market yourself as a certain designers that is into, I don't know, for example, sustainability, or you work on with a very specific language and so on. You are more recognizable, and people will tend to forget you less. It's no secret that we are so many in the world. There are many designers, there are many companies. I mean, it's no more the good old times when we were like 100 people in all the world that made design, and they basically controlled all the design culture. Now we are really so many, and being recognizable for us is a crucial feature. Of course, being recognizable and unforgettable doesn't mean that I have to dress in very strange dresses so I can be remembered as a person. It means that we have to be something that exists because we decided to exist. Whether we design in a chair, whether we are approaching to a graphic and so on, this generates authority. Means that we have the authority to speak to other people, to speak to other professionals in a very mature way. I would say mature. So yeah, whether we are designers that wants to create a self-producing small brand or manage a company, we must deal with this identity. again, I don't want to speak marketing, but these two worlds are really colliding. Actually, they collided many years ago. Now we see that the designers that are working best and are working with the best brands and deliver something to the market are the designers that generated this connection between the marketing and the communication world and the product world itself. So let's say that marketing and designers should speak the same language. Many of you maybe could tell me now, they invited me to speak about design. We wanted to hear about product design, and we're talking about language, and you are right. But you know, also objects have their own languages. If you take some examples from contemporary design, you have a wide range of things that are going from the minimalistic to the organic design to the vintage design, and everything is contemporary. So in a way, it doesn't mean that everything is contemporary, so it's all the same. On the other way around, languages, as we are speaking different languages here, determine how a product is got into the market and is understood by the audience and the customers. This thing of design language is much more related to designers, because designers see and they study. I mean, you are all studying the history of design, the history of architecture, and so on, so you can build differences in your head, in your mind, and you can you have the experience already to make some very fine differences between one design and another. And this is important because designers are people with a very high level of how can I say, they are discreet. They can really appreciate very small differences between objects and so on. And this is important because this thing is just for designers. And I usually found myself in the position of explaining this thing to the CEOs, to the president of the companies I've been working for, because they didn't have a clue. They didn't know how to separate a vintage lamp, let's say, from a minimalistic lamp. It was all the same. So designers have also this task to represent this thing and show the differences. And designing for brands must take into account these values. If we want our brand, the brand we're working for, whether it's us or somebody else, to be successful, we have to go on that uniqueness that we only can achieve by making differences. And that's why when we're working for companies, all companies, we can't just work for ourselves. We have our things that we like, things that we don't like. But when we design for a company, we must care about the fact that they have their own history. They have something that is already existing in their catalog, unless they are startups. But anyway, they already have an history. And we have to insert in that already existing history and follow that. Sometimes you see some very egocentric designers that become art director for companies, and they try to bring what they usually design into the company, and they don't care about the company's history and so on. This is wrong. So I suggest everybody, if you will care about the brand and the branding thing, to stay very close to the identity of the company, because this is really unique. And sometimes the company spent years and years and years to build that. So we have to be respectful of these things. So I said design is a serious thing. And especially nowadays it's serious, because we have many things existing in the market, and we can allow ourselves to design, freely without ethics and without caring about the fact that we do something wrong, this thing will become trash, will become garbage. If we design something that won't work for any reason, a chair that is not comfortable, a light that it's not well made, so it will break after days or months and so on, after that small period, that thing will become garbage. And yeah, of course, we don't need any more garbage in our world. So designers also has this ethic pressure of designing something that is working, because actually we cannot admit ourselves to a world with any more garbage. So as I told you, there is somebody that did something in a good way and something that was not that good. We're concentrating on the good things. For example, you maybe know this guy, is a Scottish guy, and Ross Lovegrove from the 80s started his own research about organic design. So he researched into organic shapes, the organic structures also, the textures and so on. And his works, you can check it later if you want, reflects exactly this research. If you see something that has this very strange texture, this parametric texture, or this very free-form shape, we're talking in the most percent of the cases about Ross Lovegrove, or somebody that is copying it. But anyway, Ross Lovegrove was the real father of the contemporary organic design, and is special for this reason. Then you can like it or you cannot like it. Their design, sometimes it's more into the research of this biomimicking than sometimes functionality. But anyway, those pieces are unforgettable to me. Or the other way around, Marcel Wanders. Marcel Wanders is a Dutch guy that wanted to bring something from ancient time in Europe, like this romantic aspect of Baroque design, but put that into very contemporary object with very contemporary technology. And his works is all about texturing, very rich design, and so on. When you see something that is full of flowers and textures and so on, but still maintaining a very basic shape in general, you know that is Marcel Wanders. Or again, somebody that is copying Marcel Wanders. And this is really useful to us. I mean, it's working like music, You probably follow many musicians, many pop singers and rock stars and so on. But you notice it. You remember the ones that are more rememberable. I mean, that have some specific traits that you can remember about. Then you can like it or you cannot like it. But the point is that somebody will. And if you make sure that you are unique in your business, in your area of work, then it's much better for you because you will stick to that thing. Then you can maybe evolve, of course, but you will have your own personality. And that's it. Jasper Morrison, just to mention, I could mention many of them because the famous one are the ones that have something to show, personal. Jasper Morrison invented, I can say invented, the supernormal trend. Supernormal means that he takes very normal shapes and then design in a very, not flamboyant, not very high tone objects, but they are very humble objects and very calm object, no texture, no things. And this is Jasper Morrison. This is just about the designers. But we were mentioned also something about the brands. And we have some brands like Magis. Magis is a company from Italy that creates especially chairs. I just put chairs because chairs is the very final outcome a designer can reach nowadays. But you see, you have many materials here. You have plastic on the left. It's a chair from Jaime Ayllón. And you have a steel and wood chair in the middle, and a die-casted, completely die-casted chair in aluminum on the right side. When you see this kind of approach to the material and the technology, the transformation technology behind an object, you sometimes can think about Magis. Magis is one of the brands that better made research nowadays about anything. They are into wrought iron. They did sofas in wrought iron, or they find way to mold new chairs from gas injection. I mean, they're very specific to that market. Or Cartel. Cartel is another brand. I had to put the background white here because all their objects are transparent, especially many of them. They are in plastic and they are transparent. Why? Because Cartel was built in the 60s as a brand that was into the plastic transformation. The reason why today we have so much plastic, alas, in the world is because companies like Cartel at that time made a great research on polypropylene, and they reached a very super top level of skill in working the plastic. So when you see something in transparent polycarbonate or this kind of very transparent design, you understand that it's Cartel, or again, somebody or some companies that wants to mimic Cartel. So you saw many different materials. So probably you ask yourself how it's possible to keep all those materials, and this leads to a very different approach to design that I witnessed when I came in Malaysia, but I also saw in China and in USA as well. I mean, apart from the general integrity and homogeneity of the design that I showed you, you saw that they used many materials. So maybe you can expect that Magis molds plastic and die-cast aluminum, and they have a woodworking facility and so on. No, because in Italy, surprisingly, the vast majority of design brands don't have any industrial facility. They are just design editor. They're editors of design. They decide that they want to produce something. They find somebody that can produce it, and they finally produce. So they're open to anything. They can work with plastic as well as wood, as well as ceramics, and so on. And this is really important because it introduces us another quite important differences and a trend that I'm seeing happening all around the world, which is the shift from OEM to OBM. Of course, the first process, which is OEM, keeps market at the center of the whole thing. In the OEM model, the client researches the markets. I mean, somebody in, I don't know, in Japan is researching the market, checks what is needed from the request that they see in the market, I mean, about anything that is already existing today, then approaches the factories, the manufacturers, and so on, and the factory produces these designs that will be put into the market. As you see, the main actors that is not appearing here is the designer. Okay, the designer sometimes can enter into the stage when you have to grab something from the market and then make it not less recognizable, because otherwise you would copy it and you would have legal issues and so on. But especially regarding the second process, so the OBM, the thing is completely different. It's completely turned out. I mean, you have a market, of course, because you start from the market, but everything starts from the designer. The designer is the one that has that vision of the product, of the services, of the graphic, whatever. And he does or she does their researches about this thing, then come to a factory, to a manufacturer, to a brand that will sometimes give faith to that design, and then decide to produce and put it into the market. In this case, the other way around, the market is somehow left behind, because you know, if you wanted to create something new, yes, you can check the market to check nothing is already existing. But when you have a vision, you have a vision. One of the most famous lamp in Italian lighting history is the Arco lamp. Arco means arch, and it's been designed by Castiglioni for a floss brand. And Castiglioni just noticed that if you wanted to have a lamp over the dining table, but it didn't have any central point on the ceiling to make the lamp come down, he couldn't have a lamp. So he said, why don't we create a long arch, extendable maybe, that I could use to reach the point that I want, starting from the wall. And this is something that was already was not in the market, and it was a complete new vision about Castiglioni, the designer, that of course wouldn't have never ever been designed if Castiglioni just checked what was existing in the market and tried to follow. Henry Ford, the father of the modern car design, used to say that should have he listened to the market, he would have made faster horses, not cars. And this is the perfect point. I mean, if you are a designer, you are into this kind of, you know, strange vision that you have of what existing, and you think about what will exist. And this is quite crucial for our work. And again, mind it, it's not that you have to create strange things that would not work just because in that way you will be different from what is already existing, and yeah, and expect to have success. Design is a rational process. So, and I read it exactly as it is. A designer has the ethical duty of investigating the correctness of the design. You can just be unresponsible for what you design, as I told you before. A design can be right for that moment in history, for that specific brand, for that specific audience or market, and so on. So we have to take it into account, also the market, as designers. But somehow it happens, these things that you acquire information, you see what's existing into the market, you check the technologies, you check the feasibility of the project and so on, but you mix everything in your head and then, oh, something happens and you have this vision of the product. And this is something that really you cannot teach. I've been teaching for many years now. And what I can say, absolutely, is that you can teach the grammar, but you can teach how to produce a novel. A novel is something that happens in your head magically almost. And you just see it. It's just imagining like a statue behind the marble pieces. And this is the fascinating part of our job. And I hope that many of you will embrace this kind of approach that you have to design. So maybe you designed something that you wanted to produce, but you designed it in how can I say, plywood, and the company you are working for is just using solid wood, for example. And in Italy, this thing is quite strange because we don't have this constraint. In Italy, sorry, and Europe. So surprisingly, the answer to how can I produce this thing is they will find a way, because brands won't produce anything by themselves, and they do what is called outsourcing. Outsourcing is a very general word that is meant to be used for also, how can I say, you can have an engineering department as an outsourcing. You can have a sales managers as an outsourcing. But when it comes to production, outsourcing means that you don't own the resources to create that specific goods, but you appoint somebody to do it for you. And I had this very strange thing because when I directed those companies, and it's still happening today, I met many guys from abroad that was entering the company that was, of course, was not that big company, and were expecting to see a big venue with a large production plant and so on. And so they were asking me, and I was just simply saying, no, this is where the company is. And this is where everything happens. When we have to produce something, we go somewhere else. And there's a reason for that. Well, after the Second World War, Italians were really, really poor, and we have to rebuild anything, basically. And since we didn't have the money to incorporate anything, somebody had the facility to produce wood, somebody had the facility to produce spun metal, and so on. So we tried to find a way to cooperate together, and we put together without working alone. Designers, architects at that time understood this, and also tried to make people work together. I mean, one of the way now we have very flexible sofas nowadays is because sometimes one old designers, now it's dead, but he decided to put together a company that was making rubber and tires together with a company that was making furnishing, and they created what is called an nastro cord, which is a very flexible strip of gum, of rubber, that was wrapped around a metal frame, and so it provided like a flexible way to put your cushion on, instead of having the old spring that that they broke and they were not so comfortable and so on. So they created like this specific fabric with this nastro cord, was called, made by Pirelli. Probably you know Pirelli because they produce tire, and you see probably in Formula One, you see some advertisement from Pirelli. But Pirelli once upon a time just produced rubber, and generally rubber. So at that time, somebody decided that they can put together tire producers with furnishing producers, and that is really happening today. We have very small brands. We have very small factories. Usually they are family run in Italy. Italy is the country of the micro brands, where everybody that has an idea on how to spin metal in a more convenient way can do it. And so yeah, this is even today is the normal way to approach production and design in Italy. That was, of course, exported in the rest of Europe at the moment. And even nowadays, since we are really specialized in how to make things better somehow, how to recycle that specific resource, or to cut something, or to detach a plastic component from a mold without scratching it, for example, foreign brands still come to Italy to find a good way to produce their things. Of course, I'm not that kind of guy that say Italians are the best. No, of course, we are the worst in many other way. But from the production point of view, we really put ourselves into a challenge and try to find a way to do something that is not existing before. Because even that was a way to have work in the past. If you did something if you could produce something that was not possible to produce, somehow you gained clients. That's the reason why. So, and this system that promotes small actors is really convenient when an industry is growing and it's lively, because it allows even small companies to launch products, goods, fabrications, and so on. In this way, as I showed you before, the environment becomes really great, because you are not the center of your world. You are just an island, and you connect bridges between islands to reach other people that are doing different things, for example. And this way, the economy is growing. The economy is a network is not just isolated companies working alone. It's a network that interacts each other and creates wealth, finally. And everything started from a good idea. That's the point. And that is my my most important experience nowadays into the production, because in 2011, me and 3 colleagues decided to promote Italian brands. 2010, in 2010, we had the outcome of what was seen as a global recession, and I personally saw many manufacturers have many troubles in making it. I mean, many of them were bankruptcy almost. And so I managed to meet with those guys, 3 colleagues of mine, and we asked ourselves, why don't we create something that could help those manufacturers to increase their market, promoting Italian craft with design, putting design into it. And so we created this micro brand that was called Something Good, and we've been somehow famous in Italy because we were the first example of a micro brand born from designers that were using craft technologies, not high-end technology like aluminum die casting or plastic molding and so on. And in the end, we made it. We created this. This is the first collection, and this is the second collection, and everything is made using local craftsmanship, blown glass from metal spun things, cutting board, ceramics, and so on. I mean, we made it, and we also had we had to close finally because we had different ideas on how to develop the brand. But in the end, we managed to sell all the production for all the 5 years, and also in very famous web shops. And the press understood that we could bring some more into the design fields in Italy. And this was important ethically because we helped people to get a living out of that. And then also culturally, because this is now like a trend that is happening in Italy. We have so many small producers that are waiting for people to ask them to produce something. So why not? This is our happy growth, as I told you, because it creates a design environment. I told you before about this way of creating like an environment and habitat around you. And we spoke a lot about the design social environment. We can do anything alone. I can have my plant and I do perfect spun metal, but I need legs in wood to make everything work in a good way. Great projects require great cooperation. This is, of course, clear. And if you do some personal, if you have an initiative which is personal, of course you can have a high chance of being favored, but you can also have success. This spark that you generate will generate jobs and especially awareness. When you have, when you are still building an awareness around design, cooperating is really crucial. And in the end, also, it established a local way to do design. Probably, and this is something that I experienced also in PDP. Since the companies now are working on OEM, on an OEM model, they receive something that comes from somebody other culture. And I understand that this is a globalized world, and we cannot expect that Italian design will stay Italian design and Malaysian design will stay Malaysian design. But the point is that if you keep receiving orders from abroad, you don't have even the time to ask yourself, which is my heritage as a country? How can I put my own identity into the object that I'm designing? Of course, Malaysia, as I know it, and of course, please forgive me if I make superficial consideration, because of course I'm not a local and I just lived there for some times, but I met lots of interesting people, lovely people, and I feel that something has still to be discovered. I feel that something is really strong in your culture, and since you are positive and really nice mixture of culture, you can have so much to take from. But Malaysian, as you told me, is Malaysian, and probably in the next year something will happen. So, and this is my dream about Malaysian industry, something will happen that, yes, of course, apart from the external, the export market and the OEM market, an OBM market can develop. And if it develops, it will rely on new designers, on new architects to design something. And you won't design as an American would. You will design as a Malaysian will. And this will increase awareness inside your society, inside your media, and so on. This is really important. So, environment. What is this environment made for? The first are designers, of course. We're talking about designs. Because, as I told you before, they have this special capacity of seeing something that is still not existing and going further, going beyond.
Giorgio.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. I'm quite intrigued with the idea of, coming from the heritage, and I mean Malaysian has a lot of heritage, but again, Italian design has become one of the reference. I mean, from the side of Southeast Asia and in particularly in Asian. But I mean, how do you understand the language, or how do you create language or design? Because it's always a reference of this language that when we see a design by the Italian, it looks pleasing to the eye. So is it the language that you have something to share?
Well, it's like asking how a proper language, a verbal language is built. You cannot build it from scratch. You have like a stratification of things that happens from a root, and then it becomes something else.
Okay.
So in the case of design, in my opinion, it's important to understand the history of design, because this is like our roots, and from that roots we can proceed going further and understanding where it's going, together with the understanding of the society.
Mm-hmm.
So Italian designing is not existing anymore, actually, if you ask me. We have, yes, because we exported a certain way of approaching to design, which is ironic, which is refined, but this is not more. I would be stupid if I would tell this is only Italian and this is properly Italian. Italians just arrived there because it happened. Oh, sorry. Just because it happened to us to have that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens that now Italian design is more common than ever. And since we had IKEA, and IKEA invented a new way to do distribution of design, we are also much more Scandinavian designers.
Yeah.
And nowadays we have Italian designers that are designing me, for example, in a very Scandinavian way, for example.
Yeah.
So how can you build your own language? I would say this is a personal thing and not a geographical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can have an inspiration from from the Baroque aesthetic, and so I will design something that goes in that direction. That will be my own language, not Italian language, or proceeding from Italian language.
Okay. Understand? Yeah. Okay. Continue. Yeah.
Right. So of course, designers are the first actors in this new environment. And I don't know I think that now somebody can write on the thing. Sorry.
On the chat, is it?
I don't know if something happened because now I can't. Okay, right. Okay.
Okay.
So then designers design something, but everybody which is involved in the first stage of the design process, that is the industries that have to give credit to the designers, or small producers, as I told you before, or suppliers that can take the idea of the designers and produce it. So that idea becomes reality. Those actors are the one that creates the physical world of design. And the more a design can mature, and so this translates to our capacity of producing iteration of our design. We have our first idea, but it won't be too wise to go with that idea without any review, any trial, and so on. And I wrote Prototype Time and as a title of this page, because it's also another thing that is really important in this new environment. Try and try and try is important, because once you have an idea, you have to find a way to make it more mature. And this is something that, of course, you have to struggle with the company, because once you have your opinion and somebody trusts you, then they will say, okay, it's good, let's produce it. Let's do thousands of pieces like that. But in my experience, the designs that work best, were the ones that have a very, very long time lead time, because they started from an idea, but the idea grew, and in the end, you arrived with the final dish. It's like sort of uncooked pasta. I wrote. You have to make the pasta boil, and design is exactly the process of growing ideas. Then we have the marketing. As I was mentioning before, we come from a society where designers don't care anything about marketing, which is wrong. It could be wrong. In times around the 90s, the noughties, I mean the new century, design became something that was not just related to the product, but also related to the way you communicate the product. That is marketing, of course, and storytelling. That is, you think that you design a new chair, and probably in the past it happened that you put that chair in the market, and something happened and you sold lots and lots and lots of that chair. But nowadays, with many, many chairs in the market, something happened, so you have to make yourself clear and represent yourself in the most clear way. That's why marketing, as I was mentioning before, is really important. Not because we have to pump, I wrote the word pump, a non-existing content or a feeble content about your design, but you have to push your design, because sometimes that part of your design may not be clear. Maybe the fact that you design something that is reusable, recycled, that grows with you, I don't know, it's ergonomically conceived, is not that clear from the picture on the magazine page. So you have to find a way to make it explicit. And that's why also marketing is something that has to grow in our new market. And designers must understand how to create this, how to promote their idea of marketing and become also marketers nowadays. Sorry, okay. Because I always see that somebody is asking to make to do something on the presentation. It pops up something from WebEx, and I don't know if I have to approve or not.
No, it's okay.
No.
That one is
Okay,
part of
okay.
the host.
Okay, good. So here it is. Okay, and finally the storytelling. Nowadays, when in my present, when I put the pen on the paper, I already try to imagine a nice way to tell a story. Whether I'm working for, I don't know, a lemon squeezer, or a candle holder, anything, I try to envision what can be something that led me there. Because this is something that I would use also to present the product to the companies that I will work for, or to the audiences that I am selling to. And this elevates the confidence of in the brand or the designers, because people love to understand things, and this is quite clear. I love when I understand that that designer made something because of that reason. And we are clear in explaining that, of course, the brand and our staff will gain awareness into our audience. But this is really strict to to my experience from the PDP. Do factories want really to become brands? I mean, OEM can become OBM. This is a really crucial question in my opinion, because I was honored to participate in PDP, and I managed to really love the country and people that I've been working for and with especially. And but I had this idea. There is this industry environment where big factories are producing on somebody else's order, big numbers, containers. When we asked the turnover from the companies we're working for, they answered numbering the number of containers they shipped every month, which is exactly as buying, I don't know, wood. But from the wood to the furniture, something happened in between. And that something is design, is production, is the transformation. So I at the beginning, I didn't understand why they answered in numbers of containers and not in dollars, for example. And I understood why, because their mindset was about the volumes more than values. And this is exactly what they have to do. We cannot change that. I tried to go there and say, why don't we create a brand where you produce at a very slow pace, like 100 pieces per month, and then you sell at a high price? They were looking at me like you would look at an alien, because they
puzzle.
yeah, really,
Yeah.
of course, because they were like, okay, we are already selling lots of pieces. Why should we change everything without knowing how to do it? Changing everything about ourselves to get something that we don't really know if we will get, because actually it was me. It was just me that created that vision. So they were quite puzzled when I proposed that. And I expect everybody into MTIB, people that, and you as well, Nora, people that was talking with them to receive some doubts in exchange. They were not confident that that thing would work.
Yes. Yeah. They believe in volume rather than design.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But I cannot blame them. Actually, the first time, since I was used to my model in Italy and in Europe, I was like, okay, how can do? I will they make it? No, actually not. They will make it. They are making it. Because this is a solid business model that is built onto the relationship between a client and a manufacturer. And I think that we also created something interesting in that program, and I still hope that it will be on again. But the thing is that I cannot blame those companies, because they already had the whole structure. They had people involved to produce lots of goods with that specific timing and pricing and so on. The point is that, and that was something that really I noticed that I made a very uncomfortable question. I always asked, what happens if somebody comes here and they spend something less? I mean, if somebody comes and sells at the half of the price you are selling, you won't have anything to fight that. You will stick to the price to your price list. So, in my opinion, the trick here, and I wrote the trick, is shifting the attention from a quantitative features, which is dollars, which is price, to a qualitative ones, which is values. Because once you set a good value for yourself, for your brand, nobody can do less. I mean, you can't. You can do just better. But better is a quality. It's not a quantity. It's not more. You cannot be more minimalistic. I will win over that company because I'm more minimalistic than them. No, you will just be different. So if you find a way, and now I'm putting everything together now. So we have identity. If you build your own environment and so on, you arrive there. You arrive there with your values. You arrive there with your qualitative feature that can be spent wherever in the world, because you are the company or the designer that created that specific thing. Nobody will take that away from you. Nobody. You will arrive there first. But of course, this is a high risk for companies that are built into a completely different model. So these are something of the things that I designed into this PDP. But
there's something that interesting about that chair, because
sorry,
there's something interesting about that chair, because this chair also has been sort of you have gone through a lot of discussion and argument with the manufacturer here, just to produce the idea of this, right?
Yeah. The idea behind.
But at the end, it's something that it is a nice things, details that basically it's not normally done in our local manufacturers. For example, the structure of the backrest is actually detached, because mostly the design will be attached.
I had to fight for that.
You have to fight for that one. Yes.
So I had to fight for anything actually, but it was worth, I think, because I wanted to create something that was quite comfortable for the back, but also provide something to I mean, this area has some very small point where you can hang your bag or your jacket or whatever. But in the end, what was more visible in the end, I know it was the red.
The color,
Mobilia, I wanted to push it in red because they thought that it could be more useful for displaying, for to be seen.
So that's why when you said earlier, work on the differences between the manufacturers and the designers. We compromise on certain things, and also they have to compromise on certain things.
The design is always a matter of compromise, because you have companies that have an idea and some restrictions, and designers that are completely free to roam into the world of what is possible, what is rational. So yes, a product is always the outcome of a collaboration between designers and companies. We have to remember that. Absolutely.
But again, when looking into those legs, it is similar. It's a normal construction, normal detail of every details of the furniture, of other furniture.
Well, I just managed to make sure that it was stackable.
Okay.
They want to be sold in quite a high quantity.
Again, in the volume kicks in again.
The volume?
The volume kicks in again because they need to stack for maximum volume capacity, in a container.
Yes. And that's the reason why I had to separate the backrest from the seat, because that is the part where the legs go through.
Yes, understand.
Well, anyway, I'm looking at seeing again Mobilia, because we are still working for for something. So yeah, why not?
Okay.
Well, so yeah, changing this behavior is a high risk for the company. And so what? How can we do it? I think, and this is the most risky part of my presentation, that the time has come to shift some part of the industry. And that was I was telling you before, not replacing what is OEM, because as the numbers tells us, Malaysia is doing a lot of numbers in OEM, in exporting. So it would be crazy for me arriving to a company and say, okay, since tomorrow, this company will make exactly OBM, you will become a brand, you won't work with anybody else than me, so on. That would be crazy. But I think that sometimes now is the time where, you know, that big branch of this huge tree needs to separate and differentiate. I think that Malaysia is a really mature industry, and you have the knowledge of and the capacity, the skills to differentiate, and you have many great professionals that can do that. So maybe now it's the time to think about a smaller business model that serve other small business model, because you are on the high level of your market, you are the leaders. I don't know anybody else. I mean, from Americas or I don't know, Germany probably, that are working on that specific areas. But in the wood industry, Malaysia is one of the top players. So you already arrived there. But the small business cannot overlap this model. They have to intersect in a positive way in order to create design awareness, as we were mentioning before, and also a more wide marketing penetration, local market.
Yeah.
So, and this is how we develop a design system. One of the most interesting courses that I'm teaching to is design system. When I arrived at the university, nobody heard about design system regarding the world of design. But design system is exactly that, teaching designers how to relate with anything into the design world, also with the market, in order to create that environment that we were talking before. So I just tried to fantasize and imagine a future world for the design industry in Malaysia, the small business design. So just imagine there is this guy, which is Yazif. And
Yazif is Malaysian guy?
Yeah. Malaysian guy. That's an idea for a brand that is dealing about a furniture, line-up furniture for impaired kids. And he knows a lot about furniture because he studied, he's an architect, he's a designer, he spent lots of his time in finding how to build things, but of course has no knowledge about no medical knowledge or anybody else. So he associated with Zoraida, who has a degree in pedagogy, and can tell Yazif which are the right way to work with disabilities, with impaired kids, and so on. And they, from that point, they have a complete idea of that product, of that kind of product. But they know that no manufacturer would start to produce that because if you now go to somebody, some companies that has a great number of orders and so on, and you propose something that is completely non-existing nowadays, they will tell you, nice idea, but we can't do it. Because we've not still been required of it. But you know what? They made a new company already existing in the future. This is the future of the companies. A small business of few people, 3 people, 5 people, I don't know, specialized in prototyping small batches. Because you don't have to realize thousands of pieces when you are trying to find a solution. You find your prototype, you refine it, and so on. So they start working together. They pay, of course, a higher price than the sale price of 1,000 batch, but they start modifying something because you have they see that something can be done better. it can be assembled better, it can be shipped, break down so you can mount it. I don't know, you know. Then the final piece is over after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. They bring the final pieces to a marketing studio, to a photographer that makes the picture of the things, and they start building their catalog of their own brand without relying to people that have, of course, to sell a zillion of pieces. But that piece of furniture will be sold, will be completely start from scratches as new pieces. And local press will surely start noticing that brand because it's new, it's something that was not existing before. So it's easy to point out that thing, that new thing that's existing. So clever, of course, because it's needed to as well. Finally, for example, I don't know, I imagine that a school around Selangor has to refurnish and refurbish all the classes and go to the reseller, and the resellers has some advertisements from the owners of the brand, of this new brand from Yazid. And now Yazid can reach another manufacturer, not the one that made the prototype, and can start a small batch production. Things are moving on, and of course these things will stay on the school. The price will be higher, but of course it will not break after few months, after a few years. It's something that is there to stay, and this creates also another awareness on the brand. Yazid is the owner of that brand that creates those beautiful furniture for impaired kids, and they last long time. They follow the kids over their growth and so on, and they're there to stay. It's not fast selling, it's not fast sale, it's long selling, which is my personal idea of the future business. Is not selling lot, it's selling better. If you sell better things, you will always make it in the future because we have no space for more and more and more and more. I want to sit on chairs that stays with me forever. I'm not in need of changing my chairs every year. I will not. If I am forced, because the chair is so poorly built that it will break. But this is a completely different thing. Anyway, in my very naive dream, Yazid made it, built a company. It involved other professionals, other producers, different kind of producer. It produces different batches for a local market also, not only for a foreign market. And, you know, that thing will work. Many other orders, of course, changed. Maybe Yazid decided to go on crowdfunding because it already has something that is working and it can be produced conveniently. And of course, this project can reach all the places in the world without fighting over prices, without asking $24 against $25. This is not the point. But this brand is born from scratch, as a strong idea behind, and it's growing, and it's something completely new, and all of you can do it. Yazid now is not caring more about the previous idea because it's already projected into the future, and that thing won't stop there. And I'm sure that we can do all of that. Finally, yeah, my dream for Malaysian design is that more actors can come into this environment and choose this approach. Not replacing, overlapping and intersecting with the existing industry. And the willing people and great people that I knew there that cares about the country and the industry of the country will cooperate, not as single parts, but as a group, as a network, in order to make everybody satisfied without creating internal competition between smaller business and high business and high-end furnishing. instead encouraging the birth of a new branding attitude. And this is the value branding that I was mentioning in my lecture, that could really lead to a new paradigm in design, where companies are not represented into a specific woodworking magazine, but it will become a social matter, something that also lifestyle magazine can talk about. And this is really important, because when design communicates culture and knowledge, then it's really design. And this is what this is where I want to go. I wanted to go, and I hope you will go as well. Of course, we have to believe it in that thing, right?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So what you're
And that's it.
suggesting is, okay, so I just add up a few things. Basically, what you're trying to say is actually to try the model of what the Italian do after post-war. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, you have the networking of small companies working together, family business working together to supply one part, and another one supply another part. So everything combined and becomes something.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with you. When we came to these manufacturers in Malaysia, they have big numbers. So in order for them to change from OEM to ODM or OBM, so it's not something that they have in interest.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, what are we looking is actually to look into another direction, another storytelling,
Yes.
for us to move forward. Am I right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
think the presentation that you have is basically more on the intellectual of it, rather than
Yes.
discussing on. I mean, if anybody wants to see your furniture, they can always see your furniture somewhere in this in the parts of the websites and so on. But again, Malaysia, what is interesting about Malaysia, I mean, some of the furniture that we have shown just now, few famous designers, I'm sure
Yeah.
when you ask some people of who's the real designer, they won't really know who is the designer.
Okay.
So that is an interesting part of Malaysia. So they know there's this one, but they don't know who is inventing it, because
Okay.
there's a trend of having the repro type of furniture. So the name lost along the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you're suggesting is more like intellectual rather than showing them the idea of furniture, what you have designed, what is your portfolio, and so on. What you are trying to say is actually how we can go about with our industry and how we can change that, rather than showing them pretty pictures. Okay, I think it's good. It's very intellectual, and it's very kind of parts of that we think we need marketing as well. That because I believe Italian also begin with that.
Yes.
So it still remain in our belief that Italian design, apart from Scandinavian and some of the European country, still have the kind of what call that, the idioms of design that we still follow regardless. But again, the real designer is not in the picture. The real designer is actually the product itself that been manufactured with somewhere else. It's a copycat. Copycat to say, and then it's been produced to our Malaysian to our market. That's where we start with this kind of idea of furniture design industry is always something that it can be easily produced or reproduced, or we can take it off from anybody design. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is something that it can really open our eyes. So I think let's start with some of the questions that from the chat board. Okay, some of these questions, I believe, it is looking into certain things from Sarah, our co-moderator. This Jojo, in your practice, how important is storytelling in the design market? Is the industry in your country especially appreciate the narrative behind the design process?
Oh, sorry. I lost it.
Okay, you can go to the chat.
Yeah. I'm there.
Oh, you
I'm just searching for the question.
Okay.
And who made it? Who wrote it? That one. Your practice is important. Storytelling in design market. Is the industry in your country especially appreciate the narrative behind the design process? Thank you. Well, just to give you an idea, the typical price point for a chair in Italy, but in Italy, in the design world, is around 200 euros, $200 per chair, which is extremely a lot, because if I go to IKEA and I buy a chair, I would find it probably for 40, 50, according to the material that has been used. So in order to justify that thing, that price, we have to come up with a narrative, with the storytelling, because without fooling anybody, because we also have to be honest with the customers. Sometimes the content that you put into an object is so much that it's much more than the material needed to produce it. I mean, I don't know. This chair, sorry, I don't know if you see it, but this chair is from Magis, and it's called Cyborg, and it's by Marcel Banders, and it's in lacquered plastic here, but has a straw element here that has been put over it. And this research is really important, because this chair is quite comfortable, of course, but exploits a very specific technology that allows those two parts of being matched together. And you can't see that in other product or from other manufacturers or brands. So if you explain that, you can justify that price. I mean, there's research, there's production, there's the material, there's something. It's not just that we just tell a good story and everybody will decide to spend much more of what she or he would spend otherwise. No, on the other hand, sometimes, let's say that the Italian design is much more about the dream and much less about the convenience and the feasibility, the market feasibility of a product. Mm-hmm. So when we fall in love with a chair or with a lamp or with whatsoever, and we follow that direction because we wanted to have the thinnest and the most narrow table, extendable table in the market, we do that. We want to do that because we feel that it's something that is not existing and we can make the difference with that. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it's not happening. But generally, we try to achieve something challenging, something that is not existing. We try to, because nowadays with the crisis, of course, also many other companies and daring companies just don't want to take so many risks. So what I'm seeing now in Italian market is that many companies that I used to rely on are much more, conservative. Let's say conservative.
You mean in Italy?
Yeah, they fear that squeezing their capacity, the production capacity, they would risk too much. And if they don't get back their money, they would risk a lot.
Yeah, I think similar here.
Sorry?
Similar here.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. That's the point. Of course, I've been into that place. I've been managing companies. So you have to be very attentive on how you spend your money.
Yes. Okay, we go for another question at the same time. Is the term form follows function applied in your practice?
Form follow function. Well, yes. In my particular case, yes. I like to think about the functionality of an object. But sometimes we don't have to be so strict, because sometimes it happens that an object can be interesting even for its symbolic meaning. I mean, the semantic of the object is really important because sometimes a nice lemon squeezer, for example, just to mention one, can be useful to trigger a conversation, not because it's the best lemon squeezer that you can produce. Philip Stark, when they decided to design the juicy salif for Alessi, didn't want to create the best juicer possible. He wanted, on the other hand, it was the 90s, he wanted to create something that if you made for a present to a new couple, for example, just married, and they received some friends and parents and so on, just so that strange thing and said, "What's that?" And that could trigger something. I mean, there's also a social meaning for design. Of course, you have to create something that is working, especially for the reason that I told you before. Things have to work. Things cannot become trash easily. That they have to have their own reason why they exist. And to me, I must say that this digitalization of the project nowadays is creating much less attention to that particular features. So in the future years, you will see much more, can I say stupid things into the market.
Yeah, but again, it becomes the talking point of every designers, right?
Yeah.
The UV, yeah.
Yeah.
But the intention is not meant for everyday use.
No,
definitely you cannot use that as practical use.
It's Instagram.
yeah, Instagrammable, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Another one will be okay. This is something to do with textile. Any suggestion on how to strengthen a textile design product in market? As example of Malaysian batik textile industry. I think you have seen the batik, Malaysian batik, right? There's a
Yeah. Of course.
Motif.
Yeah. I have some.
Mm.
That it's much more about. I mean, that specific textile is very local and talks about tradition and so on. The perception of also in Italy, because we have many local tradition, but if we represented it, like, for example, the typical texture from the northern part of Italy in textile, we risk to do some like folkloristic, and it's seen like, how can I say, ethnic design. This is not only for Malaysia or Italy. I think it's like that in every part of the world. I think that to strengthen that, it's important to match the product with the history. I mean, the batik, for example. What has generated batik? How is used? What's the meaning behind that? It's something that is existing only into the textile, or can we make it more, how can I say, mainstream, using it as a symbol, as a logo? I mean, to me, the batik is quite important as a symbol. When I see it, I immediately reconnect to your culture. And I think that in the next years, especially after this pandemic, I suspect that we will rediscover localities, and from localities we will rediscover foreign culture. I'm expecting that because we closed ourselves in our own world, and we closed ourselves to other cultures and other folklores and so on. So I expect that it will be quite interesting in the next future to talk about our own local traditions and so on. And this is, in my opinion, any local design patterns, materials, architecture can be appreciated abroad. This is what I think.
Okay. Another one is from Salmia Aziz. The Giorgio is a great business model that you have mentioned. She said, "Good luck."
So, thank you.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right. We can try. Because that's where Italians start off, right? But it's a long way to go. But again, like you said at the end of your slide, you must believe.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, a problem. there's a problem that they didn't mention.
Yeah.
The communication at that time when Italy started this kind of approach was much, much slower. Nowadays, the communication is much faster
Now,
than any time you need for making any prototype, any product.
yes,
So,
correct.
Yeah,
So the marketing will become very, very fast, and people are easy to forget. And how to make things to people remember the products, right?
Sorry, text.
Okay, what's that just now? Okay, I go for the next one. How do you differentiate between good and great design? Any any overrated or underrated designers in the industry?
Oh, many.
Oh, many, right? Many.
Well,
Many
well,
celebrities. Okay.
Yeah.
How
First one,
do you differentiate between these two?
between good and great.
Yeah.
Well, good is something that is proceeding from what already is existing, but represents something new somehow.
Okay.
And good design simply works. Good design simply works.
I think what is interesting here, what you said just now, challenging the market, right? The novel come with from your mind, so it must be appreciated. I mean, not everybody will like your novel, not everybody to read your novel, but again, there's something that's triggering somebody to read and appreciate it. Something that we never know, but it's always coming from the mind, right?
Yes, absolutely. All
Okay.
underground processes.
Yes, but again, it's very subjective between good and great, right?
Yes. Usually, when it comes to the evaluation of design, well, you can use the market. If it sells, it's great, or not.
Yeah.
Once upon a
time.
Once a product that was great was a product that sold, and it sold because it was great. It was well built and so on. Nowadays, the borders are much more blurred, and I can tell that since it's selling good, it's it's a great product. No, in a way, sometimes the best product are the ones that are not that visible, because you spend lots of time, and so something happens. So it's what I was telling you before. These differences between the real world and the Instagram world make us appreciate more what is eye catchy, and not what is pragmatically good.
Yes. Okay, that leads to that one question, because I guess one from I think from Azlaini, yeah. I guess the issue boils down to the issue of appreciation. The Malaysian design culture is still in infancy and very conservative as compared to Italy. The Malaysian market is more cost oriented rather than owning a statement of art.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. It's correct. That's what I saw. That's what I heard. That's why I think that this kind of thing should come from the younger.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because I met many colleagues from there that are in a way complaining about the fact that they don't have space for their product, because their work is perceived as a non-professional work, while it is. And I know I've been knowing many of your universities as well, so I know that your degree of knowledge is quite high. I saw many designers doing great things, so there's no reason why this thing should not happen, apart from the fact that the production facilities are in the hand of people that, of course, built that facilities years and years and years ago and won't change. Of course, I would be conservative as well if I had a money machine. I wouldn't see why. It's perfectly right. I'm not that naive guy that says, no, we have to follow culture and forget about money. No. The market is sustained because money comes into the market. Simply, at the moment, I suspect that there are some designers that could specialize in that kind of product, and some designers that can also build a small facility to produce things. You can associate 4 or 5 people and use like a turning machine or a sewery. So that you are much better than Italian designers. Believe me, you are much better than Italian designer in using machineries. You know how a thing is made, assembled, coupled, and produced. Italians, on the other way, are much more focused on the semantic and philosophical content of the product, but they probably don't know how to produce it. That's the reason why I think that I would do that. If I could, I would do that. I would take 4 or 5 my colleagues. I would invest some into a small facility, and I will start producing for the locals.
Okay, I think it's a doable kind of approach. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we open to the floors. Any question that can anybody can ask directly to Giorgio?
Oh, yeah.
Any question from the floor? They are able to talk, right?
Yes, they can just unmute themselves, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Doctor, I have a question.
Okay, say it. State your name and then from where? Then
yes, I'm Nur Azimah from MTIB.
Okay.
I just would like to inquire or get some point of view from Mr. Giorgio. Do you see Malaysian wood carving similar like you see, say, the Malaysian batik? Or do you see it as a valued branded product from Malaysia that we can venture into? The wood carving or ukiran.
Wood carving. Well, yeah, I think that Malaysia has a great resource when we talk about wood. The way the carving, I saw they made a great exhibition like 5-6 months ago, when they showed some very specific and local way of carving boards of wood. And I don't remember the name actually, but it was really great. I mean, it was really yours, if I should say. And if people in the world had more knowledge about their own culture, in my opinion, they would appreciate more. The fact is that that kind of woodworking arrives when it's not ordered from Americas or China or Japan and so on, and so reflects their culture. When it comes to Malaysian designs, I think that it's really, really typical and recognizable. The only thing that, in my opinion, is lacking is a bit of storytelling behind that to show why that thing happened, the history behind, and so on. I think that's the real point.
I think any values that we can put it to the front, I think we always have the advantage to have a good storytelling, right?
Yeah, I think so. But not for the sake of storytelling, just I have to invent an history. Because I saw that many things in your culture have a strong history, very deep roots into your culture, into also foreign culture, because you were exposed to people that came there and create your beautiful culture now. So, yeah, of course I couldn't do it from the beginning, but coming there more often, I understood that there are more symbol that I got at first. And so now I have my own Malay dictionary, visual dictionary. Hello.
Yeah. You know,
Remember him?
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry
No,
for
so nowadays, I'm sure I can make a list. I can populate a list of what is really typical about Malaysian design. This doesn't mean that I have to represent them into my design. It doesn't mean that I have to design chairs with the shape of a batik. It doesn't mean that, but I can start from them because this is my story to go beyond, to reinterpret it and make it more contemporary or evolving. That's the point.
Okay. Any other question from the floor? Like to hear from you. Okay. Okay. I think this one more thing that I need to pick up from your slides just now.
Yeah.
Basically, the unforgettable between the sort of the market collided with designers. I mean, right? So those are the things that basically what you're trying to say. This is where the designers and the marketing has to be one, especially nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So in what ways
Yeah.
that we can engage in that?
Yeah, I'm sure of that, because I see, and your questions before showed me, there's also, and you hinted it where we were talking, that design is always a collaboration. There is somebody that has an idea, somebody that has to produce it, but sometimes the first idea is not that convenient, so it has to be adjusted, let's say. While on the other way, I don't know how the relationship between the buyers and the manufacturers in Malaysia has been built. Because I saw, and was quite strange to me, that I'm used to fight with the companies I'm working for and with. Usually have to fight because I propose an idea. They tell me, yes, it's a nice idea, but we need to change something. Okay, but instead of changing that much, why don't we? So it is this table tennis.
Back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And this is convenient for the final outcome. This is really important for the future of the industry because it helps designers understanding the needs of the company, and the company understands that they have to push their boundaries a bit further. On the other hand, in Malaysia, I didn't have this thing. I had to fight sometimes, but the fight was about doing or not doing. It was not just, okay, that chair is okay, but why don't we fix that particular element on down instead of up, for example?
Yeah.
I didn't see that kind of frank relationship. Not frank because it was not unfrank. It was like they feared to speak to me about changes to do. No, the best products are the intersection of the ideas of the company and the designer.
So meaning it's not always frank between the manufacturer and the designer in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, I think it is true because there's something that they want to hide from us. They don't want to do it, but they don't want to tell us whether they want to do it or not to do it. They just surprise us. So I think that's the process that we have gone through. We had gone through, and basically there's something that I think it goes back to your idea. We cannot change them, not so much.
Yeah.
We should be looking into another direction that it enables us to sort of elaborate or learn from our small industry and how our small industry can create something by itself, marketing by itself lah, meaning. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You have anything you need, in my opinion. You have professionals, you have raw goods, you have facilities, you have technicality, you have a market. You are in a beautiful place.
Yes.
This is not to be forgotten because here in few weeks here we will be freezing.
Oh, that's where we we want to go there.
Yeah.
That's where we like. Yeah, always something that we look for something else rather than what in front of us. Yeah.
In my opinion,
you're looking into how lovely Malaysia is, but we're looking how lovely in Milan or Rome is. other side.
It's always the same. It's always the
It's
same.
always the same, yes. Okay, but I think it's good to learn from each other. I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of information and suggestion from you. I think that's one of the things that we can start small. We can start, not to say small, but we can start as the beginning of our design process and design thoughts in our industry. And hopefully this become our intellectual discussion in the future. I mean, we can still continue with this discussion following for the next exhibition or following discussion on design thought and so on, etc. Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Puan Sarah, any other question from the floor?
I think for now that's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is there any?
I have a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Mr. Giorgio. My name is Zarif from UiTM.
Hi, Zarif. Hello.
Mr. Giorgio, do you have any words of advice for younger generation, new generation of designer that is going to spearhead perhaps the new age of design?
The new age of design.
Yes.
Well, new age. The new age is already here, and
okay.
Yeah, basically it's already here. We're seeing at first. I'm seeing now because I'm teaching into schools that are much more into the representation of the design than the fruition of the design. So my suggestion for the youngest generation is don't forget about the fact that design is something that happens in the physical world. A product happens in the physical world and not into Instagram or into the pages of a magazine. This is useful to represent yourself, your product, to make storytelling and so on. But don't forget about the fact that we are selling physical objects and we have to care about that. That's the point. Then the suggestions are always the same. Be curious, study yourself, understand people, look at how people live, and look at how they are facing everyday problem, or sometimes just trigger some discussion. Just remember that design has also a cultural meaning. So if you manage to match the pragmatical part of the design with the cultural part of the design, then it's bingo. That is my suggestion.
Yes, it's correct. Yeah. Okay, I think we take another one question before we end. It has been good elaboration from you. Yeah. So we wait for the last question, if any. If not, then we can sort of depart. Any other question from the floor? From Sarah? Sarah ada? Yang from the floor?
Not from the chat box.
Not from the chat box. Okay, all right. So okay, it's a good session. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort to go through all your slides with the idea of promoting what Malaysian can do and what Malaysian can progress from there. I think it's a very intelligent ways of putting up certain ideas to our Malaysian local designers and look into how we can progress from there. I think it's a good thing. So again, what we want to have here is actually we have to work on the differences between our designers, manufacturers, and we have to keep notice that what we have done, what we have doing it, whatever it is, it either can be successful or it can either also become a garbage.
Yeah.
But yes, the garbage is part of the process that we have gone. We need to go through that garbage in order for us to establish a certain kind of language, right?
Yes, of course. I failed so many times.
Yeah.
I failed so many times.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Yes, it is true. Yeah, we have to do that process. We have to do that kind of idea in order to get somewhere. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think we learned a lot today. A lot of direction, a lot of inspiring words from the floor and from you as well, Jojo. And
Thank you, Omik.
we thank you again. And hopefully we can visit you sometimes in Italy or in
Oh,
Milano.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hopefully you can come again here in Malaysia. Malaysia is always sunny, beautiful, with a
I'm
lot of
counting.
place. Huh?
I'm counting the days.
Yes. And a lot of summer. We it's all summer here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you again. I'll pass to Sarah if she wants to say anything before we end this session. Thank you again,
Yes.
Jojo.
Thank you.
All right.
Terima kasih.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Cik.
Terima kasih.
Thank you, Giorgio, for this fruitful and inspirational session. We hope it's a eye-opener for all the students and designers, and hopefully we could develop more good and great design for Malaysia industry, and which hopefully could grow into an international industry. So
Yes.
if you don't mind, the committee would like to request a photo session with you, a virtual
Yes.
session.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
participants, if you can switch on your
Which
cameras,
on?
I can screenshot the photos.
Yeah.
How cool. This is
How-
really cool.
Yeah, it's something like standing up in front of the stage and take photos together.
Can we
Amazing.
have also a representative from MTIB? Okay, just gonna wait for a few seconds. All right, okay. Okay, ready, everyone. I'm just gonna count to 3. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one more.
Thank you.
Is all the participants all in one frame?
I have to flipped into different pages because we have more than one page. So just keep on smiling.
Okay.
Smile. Keep smiling.
Thanks a lot.
All right. I think
Okay, done.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
thank you so much again, Giorgio Biscaro,
Sama-sama.
for the presentation.
Sama-sama.
Time with us. So I believe that will be the end of the session.
Yes.
On behalf of the Center of Studies for Interior Architecture, UiTM Shah Alam, I would like to thank MTIB and also our speaker, Giorgio Biscaro, for spending our time with us, and for MTIB to sponsor, to fund us with this event. So I'd like to apologize if any of the wrongdoings throughout this event. Before we end this session, I'm just going to remind all participants to fill up the attendance form. I think the link has been given in the chat box. Right. So for your information, there will be more webinar coming soon, which is also under CSIA and MTIB. So if you'd like to join us later, we will first share the info later. And you can also follow us on Instagram and also our YouTube channel. This session will be recorded and will be uploaded in that channel. So if you'd like to rewatch, feel free to do so. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
It's been a
So,
pleasure.
yes.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yes,
You
so you
too.
can fill up the Google form, yeah, for the attendance for everyone.
Not for Jojo.
Jojo, yeah, if you want to fill up, yes.
Okay, I will. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Giorgio.
Have a nice day. Have a nice day, yeah.
You too.
And
See you.
Yes.
Thank you semua. Terima kasih UiTM. Apa tu?
Oh yeah.
So kita jumpa lagi untuk di next session lah.
The next session, yes. Boleh.
Okay, terima kasih semua.
Okay. Thank you very much. Waalaikumsalam. Thank you all for attending.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Cannot.
you.
Okay, thank you semua.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Thanks a lot. Nak isi kedatangan.
Thank you, Doktor.
Doktor pun boleh